Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
It looks like a fragile ceasefire, massive betrayal. Trump lays down the law, and Sam Bushman says partisan politics continuing to ruin this country. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. I am Sam Bushman. This is Liberty Roundtable Live, hard-hitting news the network refused to use, and it all starts now. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't even know how to respond to this, but it makes me so angry. Headline says massive betrayal. Mike Johnson, that's the Speaker of the House, supposedly Christian, reportedly looking to let ban on Planned Parenthood and the funds related to that ban to expire. No joke. It's out of control. Carlos Garcia over at the Blaze with the Peace. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson of Louisiana is going to let federal funding flow once again to Planned Parenthood. That's according to the Washington Examiner. The Blaze gave me this piece, as I mentioned. They've got a great video on this. Let's watch this, then I'll break it down for you. This is an absolute Republican meltdown. Shame.
House Speaker Mike Johnson is skipping a key anti-abortion priority in an upcoming party line bill. That's despite urges from groups like Live Action and National Right to Life to renew a ban on Medicaid funds for Planned Parenthood. The one-year prohibition tucked into Trump's 2017 tax bill expires July 4th. Johnson, a staunch ally of the movement, plans to keep the bill focused on funding the Department of Homeland Security through reconciliation. That's a budget trick to bypass the Senate filibuster and meet Trump's June 1st deadline for DHS cash. Adding abortion language could split Republicans and derail passage amid their slim majorities, 1 seat in the House and 3 in the Senate. Senate Majority Leader John Thune is pushing the same narrow focus to avoid complicating things. Pro-life leaders call the delay a loss that'll let Planned Parenthood grab tens of millions in temporary federal dollars for non-abortion services. They argue those funds are fungible and subsidize abortions anyway. Groups want a longer extension before Democrats potentially retake the House in November. Leadership might tackle it in a fall bill, wrapping defense spending with other priorities, but that's no sure thing close to elections. Democrats slammed the bill as a backdoor abortion restriction that hurts low-income health care.
Speaker Johnson, bro, have you lost your mind? Do you understand that most of the American people realize abortion is bogus? It's criminal. It's murder. And you're funding it with our tax dollars. And now you're going to cave? Do you realize that Donald Trump has been the most pro-life president in history in modern times? I'm almost 60 years old, and in my lifetime, he's the most pro-life president we've ever had. Give Donald a high five, a thumbs up, whatever you want to call it. Good for President Trump. And now, Speaker Johnson, you're going to undermine this? This is one of the biggest reasons people wanted Republicans to take the helm. They wanted to stop the murder. We won Roe versus Wade. Now you got murder medications crossing state lines everywhere. It's a disgrace. And now, Speaker Johnson, you're going to go ahead and cave on this issue right before the midterms? Literally in that article, in that news feed, you're basically admitting the Democrats are going to take over midterms. That's because of your massive, constant betrayals, my friend. Shame on you. Let the ban expire? What a disgrace that is. What are you doing that for? What do you have to gain? Pro-life groups trying to keep the ban on Medicaid funds? And you're undermining them? Defending the right to life, sir, is fundamental and something that all people, especially Republicans, should fight for. Johnson passed a 2-year ban in the beginning, but it was reduced in reconciliation to 1 year. That was in order to, quote, pass the Senate. You need to stand tall on these issues, Mike Johnson. Are you a Christian? Are you pro-life? You say you are, but we watch what you do more than what you say, sir. Now it appears that the reconciliation process will kill the ban altogether. I'm telling you, triple shame for this one. Senator John Cornyn of Texas responded on social media by calling on Johnson and other Republicans to reconsider the decision. Amen to John Cornyn on that one. I strongly supported defunding Planned Parenthood, he said, and I've promoted family tax cuts. I have championed provisions to ensure tax dollars do not fund abortion throughout my career. Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri also registered his disappointment. This would be a massive betrayal, Josh Hawley wrote on social media, saying, under no circumstance can Planned Parenthood be allowed to get taxpayer money for transgender and or abortion insanity. Folks, I don't know what Mike Johnson is thinking, and I know it's not fair to give him the singular blame for this, but man, the Speaker of the House has so much power, so much control. I mean, the buck stops with Mike pretty much, or the buck flows with Mike, if you will. I mean, this is a disgrace. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't even know how to respond to this. And California Governor Gavin Newsom, I guess he signed a bill granting, listen, $90 million as, quote, emergency funds to abortion providers, including Planned Parenthood. So who's the good guy and who's the bad guy in this? You got Gavin Newsom, whacked out Democrat, putting state funds in California where they're already in debt to their eyeballs. $90 million in emergency fund to Planned Parenthood. Now Mike Johnson working on funds to Planned Parenthood. Who's the good guy and who's the bad guy in this? The event, they say, that kind of tipped this off for Gavin Newsom featured a large group of women, they say, that included his wife. Anyway, she attacked journalists and did all this kind of stuff. She voiced concerns about the lack of media attention to the significance of the funding and women's representation. You don't represent women when you murder their offspring. Have you lost your minds, people? They say her comments were met with applause from those who were present, while Governor Newsom didn't visibly react. I look at this thing, though, and I go, what on earth is happening here, folks? This is an absolute disgrace. But we're being lied to by the Republicans left and right, ladies and gentlemen. That's the real problem. You got a massive betrayal on this funding. But think about the fragile ceasefire we've got, okay? Donald tells you it's a ceasefire, but you got rising oil again. I know oil dropped, but now it's rising again because people don't believe the Strait of Hormuz will be open. Israel strikes continue. I've never seen a war that Israel doesn't just love. Hormuz crisis keeps global costs high, but why is Israel striking? Despite the ceasefire announcement, despite the fact that oil traffic remains choked, Israel says attacks will continue against, quote, parties not covered by the agreement, raising fresh doubts about peace. What's up with that? Okay, I don't know what Israel's saying, but they're like, hey, Lebanon's not part of this thing. So let me get this right. We're going to go ahead and create a ceasefire. We're going to say Iran's the big problem. People are drug into this thing because Iran attacks other countries. Now Israel's attacking Lebanon and saying, oh, they're not part of the ceasefire. Question, because I'm not very intelligent. You know, just dumb people like me asking stupid, ignorant questions because I lack international understanding, if you will. Who's causing the war to continue? We attacked Iran with Israel. We create a ceasefire. Donald says, wow, we saved this whole society from getting completely obliterated. And Israel goes, yeah, you left these people out. We're going to keep bombing the heck out of those guys. Yeah, doesn't cover them. Doesn't cover these guys. Doesn't cover who's continuing the war. Who's causing people to die? Who's destroying infrastructure? Answer, Iran is. Israel is. Isn't that where we started? Both Israel and Iran were causing all kinds. Hasn't Israel been in a fight with everybody forever? When will this stop? Then supposedly Trump lays down the law. We'll talk about that. I'm convinced that it's partisan politics that's the problem. Whose side is on what side? Fair questions? I sure hope so. Liberty Roundtable Live.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began. Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20-plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. This is probably one of the most stupid things I've ever heard in my entire life. I don't even know how to respond to this headline. Donald Trump lays down the law. 50% tariffs on Iran's weapon dealers, no exception. Okay. President Trump announced a 50% tariff on all goods from nations that supply military weapons to Iran. This tariff is effective immediately, Donald says, and contains no exceptions, all coinciding with the ceasefire between Israel, Iran, and the U.S. to prevent Iran's military from rearmament. Now, Israel continues to bomb people, claiming, hey, don't worry, those guys aren't part of the deal, right? Well, Donald Trump famously called Kim Jong-un Rocket Man and often called him Little Rocket Man. He used the nickname for North Korea's leader during the 2017, what they call it, missile and nuclear tensions, referring to Kim's frequent rocket missile launches. Well, we're going to either have to rename Israel Rocket Man, because Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu might need to be called Rocket Man now, right? I mean, this guy's firing, going, nah. I'm going to fire at everybody else because they're not part of the ceasefire. Why would you do that? If you wanted to support the United States and Trump saying that we got to deal with Iran, and hey, we all know the deal's a little bit shaky, but we're really trying to make this thing stick, why would you allow Israel to attack Lebanon? Maybe we need to call Donald Trump Little Rocket Man now, because Donald Trump is the guy that says, hey, I'm going to lay down the law. Anybody funding or anybody providing weapons dealers or whatever to Iran, hey, we're going to nail them with big tariffs. So let me ask you this question. Is China and Russia providing any weapon capabilities and weapon dealership, whatever you want to call it, to Iran? Are weapons that we, the United States, pass so freely around the world? We're the biggest weapons dealer in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Did you know that? Well, we're not really a dealer because dealers usually get money for their weapons. We usually give weapons away. In fact, oftentimes we pay countries to take money and weapons. It's insanity. Nevertheless, if we're the biggest funder of communist China through the trade deficits, and they're our most favored nation trading partner, remember, we had a lot of these Israel commentators coming out and going, yeah, Donald's not just backing Israel on this thing. You got to realize this is a China thing. The real bad guy isn't so much Iran, except for Iran's kind of a front man for the communist Chinese. This is really not about Israel. This is about China. Okay, well, if that's true, then is China funding Iran? And is Trump laying down the law? Is Trump going to then pin the tail on the donkey and say, China, 50% tariffs on you guys. Russia, 50% tariff on you guys. What about all the countries that allow banking cartels to allow money to flow? Oh, most of our NATO partners are guilty of that. So how broad is this thing? When we make these broad statements, Trump lays down the law. 50% tariffs on Iran's weapon dealers, no exception. What does that mean? Do I got to supply weapons? Or what if I help with cash for oil? Or what if I help with other money? Or what if I allow money to flow through my banks or my country or my whatever, and so it's a funds discussion? See, I don't mean to be rude about this, ladies and gentlemen, but we've got a big problem. A serious problem. Because who's who in this fight? Well, I'm going to bring it home. I'm going to bring it domestic because I believe the same problem happening internationally is the same domestic problem we have. You got the Republicans against the Democrats and vice versa, and the blame game going. And our dear friend Pat Buchanan always called it, hey, it's the same party. It's just the left and the right wings of the same bird of prey. And boy, howdy, is he right on. Listen to this from Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix court rejects independent party and the new name they want to have. What? Yeah, it's an Arizona political dispute, folks. So I guess a Phoenix judge ruled against remaining, quote, no labels Arizona to the independent party. So I guess there's a group called No Labels Arizona, and they want to rename themselves to the independent party. And so the judge sided with the Republican and the Democratic parties, who argued that it could mislead American voters. This decision occurs as both parties anticipate, quote, tight midterm elections with, quote, significant positions at stake. The heck does that even mean? Here's what it means. It means the Republican Party and the Democratic Party want to hold on to power. And they want to use an activist judge to demand that they get to hold on to power. So this Phoenix judge says you can't rename your no labels thing to the independent party. I mean, if you did that, then people would be confused. They might actually vote independent. They might vote for somebody else besides the Republicans, besides the Democrats. You see what's going on? So now you got the blame game going on between the Republicans and Democrats. You got Donald Trump fighting with everybody in the world along with Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, I don't know if we ought to give them both a dual Rocket Man prize or what we need to give them. A dual Rocket Man prize for Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump. I mean, they're literally blowing things up while they say they're negotiating. They're literally blowing things up in countries that aren't, quote, involved in the ceasefire deal. Iran's trying to hold off, it claims, saying, well, we want to try to respect the deal. Wow. Now this Phoenix court rejects the group no labels to the independent party, and that's going to be a disaster for the Republicans and Democrats, so they're blocking it with a judge. The two parties, ladies and gentlemen, Republicans and Democrats, they're private institutions. What do you call that thing, an elephant and a donkey? Is that what their logos are? You got this non-governmental organizations that literally have claim to names. You can't even change your name from no labels to independent, because if you do, you might confuse voters. They might not promote the two special privilege insider vote fraud parties, right? That's what's going on.
Hey,
now, they're already publicly admitting, folks, they're publicly admitting that they don't have the midterms wrapped up. The Republicans are virtually saying the Democrats are going to take over. So we got to get this done and that done and that done and that done before they do. I mean, I couldn't imagine publicly saying that kind of stuff, because you're literally admitting that you're willing to share power. We've already capitulated to the Democrats. We realize we've been nothing but a do-nothing Congress, and therefore we know we're already going to lose. We know we've already kind of betrayed our voters. So now we're going to betray them on the abortion issue. We're going to betray them on the going to war issue. And now we're going to use the courts to demand that, hey, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, I mean the left and the right wings of the same bird of prey, that they maintain power and nobody else. Where do the courts get off giving Republicans and Democrats special privilege at the top of the voter pool? Huh? You say, Sam, you're way too hard on the Republicans and Democrats. Come on now, buddy. We've had these parties forever. I know. And the founders warned. Go look at George Washington's farewell address if you don't believe me. They warned that parties would destroy the country. And now we see over abortion. We see over going to war. We see with relation to tariffs. We see with relation to Congress is absolutely paralyzed by partisan politics. And we see now that a Phoenix court has an activist judge that protects the two parties at the expense of we the people who might just possibly want to be independent. Can you imagine that? Wanting to be independent? Well, let me prove to you that we're losing left and right. Turns out that a Wisconsin Supreme Court, I guess they just had a race there, and they expanded their Supreme Court in Wisconsin majority. Judge Chris Taylor won the state, quote, Supreme Court race, expanding the court's liberal majority in Wisconsin to 5-2. What do you think of that, folks? It's disgrace. It's sad. And now you have Congress set to reauthorize 702 of FISA by April the 20th. So how long do you got now? It's already the 9th. You got 11 days, but Congress is half the time they're on recess. You got a couple of weekends in there. You've got hardly any time left. What are they going to do? Are they going to renew 702 of FISA? I pray not. I pray we reject that. But I don't have any confidence in these clowns. They're all on recess or fighting with one another or whatever they're doing, but they're not doing the business of the people. They allowed George Bush, who claimed he was only spying on foreign terrorists. Then it turned out he was spying on all of us. They've rewarded him and promoted that agenda and let them spy on all of us for quite some time. Now we've still got 50,000 plus people in the war region. And the ceasefire's so fragile, and Israel might ensure that it never sticks. Ladies and gentlemen, we better hire people who are willing to do the people's will. We better fire these clowns that are so partisan they can't see straight and they can't look to their constituents for guidance. We don't want war, and we want a great economy. It is the economy, stupid. All right, I'm Sam Bushman. Thanks for being alongside for the ride. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, always available. YouTube, Rumble, X, everywhere, including LibertyRoundTable.com and LibertyNewsRadio.com. God save the Republic of the United States of America.